Hello guys, today we'll be looking at equivalent fractions. Now equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value, though they might look different. Think of this, looking at these three rectangles I have on the screen. What if we draw three rectangles, right? And in the first case, I were to shade a half. So I shaded one out of two parts. That's scenario number one. In the second case, I shaded 2 out of 4 parts. Now, what is unique about these is that all fractions are divided into equal portions. So for example, this 2 out of 4 parts is 2 out of 4 equally divided portions. And in my last scenario, I am shading 4 parts out of 8 equally divided parts. Now, all of these fractions represent the same portion. Take it that 1 is a half of 2, 2 is a half of 4, and 4 is a half of 8. All of these fractions are equivalent, a half, 2 quarters, and 4 eighths. Now, as you can see, based on my shaded region, you can see that they all represent the same portion. Because if I were to draw a straight line down the middle, I would have the same portion being shaded. Now, how does this work? Alright, 2 quarters. If we were to take a half and we were to multiply the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2, we would end up with 2 times 1 is 2 over 2 times 2, which is 4. We end up with 2 quarters. However, if I were to take the same fraction, which is a half, and I were to multiply the numerator by 4 and my denominator by 4, I would end up with 4 over 8, which is 4 eighths. So, to get equivalent fractions, we can simply multiply the numerator and the denominator of one fraction by the same value. Alright, let's look at it from a different angle. What if we had 4 over 8 and we wanted to show that this was equivalent to a half? All I would have to think of is what can I multiply 4 by to get back 1? Alright, if I were to divide the numerator by 4, and I divided the denominator by 4, I would end up with 1 over 2, which is a half. So to get equivalent fractions, we can either multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same value, or divide the numerator and the denominator by the same value. Sometimes equivalent fractions can be a bit tricky. For example, is 8 twelfths equivalent to 14 over 21? When we look at it, there is no direct value we could look at it and say that we multiply 8 by to get 14 and 12 by to get 21. So it doesn't always have to be a whole number that we multiply by. I could multiply by 1.5, I could multiply by 0.7. So how do we know if these two fractions are equivalent? One way to do it is simply to break down both fractions to see if they break down to the same value. Let me start with 8 over 12. 8 over 12, all we need to do is to find the highest common factor of 8 and 12. That's the highest number that can go into both 8 and 12 without leaving a remainder. 4. Let us say we divide 8 by 4 and we divide 12 by 4. 8 divided by 4 would give me 2 and 12 divided by 4 would give me 3. Let us look at 14 and 21. Probably I could divide 14 by 7. And I could divide 21 by 7. Now 7 into 14 goes 2 times, and 7 into 21 goes 3 times, also 2/3. So both fractions are indeed equivalent. So sometimes it's not very straightforward. What we can do is to break down these fractions into their simplest form, and we'll actually know if the two fractions are equivalent. Take a next question. Let's say 6 over 8 is equivalent to 9 over blank. Now, what do I multiply 6 by to get 9? I can't think of a whole number, which means that I'm going to have to break down 6 over 8. Now, what is the highest common factor of 6 and 8? Let's see. 2. 2, if I divide 6 by 2 and I divide 8 by 2, I'm going to end up with 3 quarters. 3 quarters can't be broken down any further, which means that the highest common factor of 6 and 8 is 2. Now let's see what happens. All I now have to do is to find out what I multiplied 3 by to get 9. 3 times 3 is 9, which means that whatever I multiplied 3 by to get 9, I'm going to have to multiply 4 by to get the corresponding denominator. So I'm going to have to say 4 times 3, which would give me 12. So we can therefore say that 6 over 8 is equivalent, and these symbols mean equivalent, to 9 over 12. And I'm finished. That's it.